Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Cover 2 presented by Tigervision. I'm Patrick Neal with Grayson Mann as always as my co-host. We've got a loaded show today. We've got AFC, NFC championships. We've got coaching hirings. We've got a Lane Kiffin update. We talked about it a few shows back. I think we got to make it a full-time thing.
Yes.
But we've got. Oh, and of course, the GOAT retires.
Yes.
He retired today officially.
I promise I won't cry. I promise.
It's okay if you shed a few tears. We're okay with it here. I guess I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with your Cincinnati Bengals. I'm gonna clap it up for your fanhood. This has been a long time coming.
I don't know
Super Bowl?
how they're in the Super Bowl.
Congratulations.
In all honesty. Yeah. If somehow you did not catch the game, the Bengals beat Patrick Maffraud and the Chiefs.
I can't believe you went there.
Yeah, I know. Look. He's been to four AFC championships and has only gotten one ring out of it. So is he even a good quarterback? These are the real questions we're asking.
Is Patrick Mahomes even a starting QB in the league? We debate the real answers right out here on Undisputed. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but anyways, it was really a tale of two halves. The Chiefs were up in the first half at one point, 21-3. Patrick Mahomes was taking all the checkdowns, was taking exactly what the Bengals defense was giving him. The Bengals looked like they could not compete. And all of a sudden, right before halftime, the Chiefs are down in the red zone again. And it's looking like they're about to score another touchdown. And all of a sudden, Eli Apple, of all people, stops Tyreek Hill from getting in the end zone. Kind of gives the Bengals defense and the entire team some motivation, a little bit of juice going into halftime. And they make the necessary adjustments and come out and get the win.
I don't know anyone that talks as much trash on Twitter and then goes out and has a pretty decent game. Makes it one of the bigger plays.
He was getting burned a little bit, but yeah, like you were saying, if you have not seen the Eli Apple Twitter beef, he has made enemies out of the entire Giants and New Orleans Saints fan bases, but it's pretty hilarious.
He will be fighting Tyreek Hill in the Jake Paul undercard. You heard it here first.
I think we should try to make that happen.
I'm all for it. Did you see his response? He was like, at Mecole Hardman, at Tyreek Hill. If you guys want Super Bowl tickets, just text me. I got you. I was like, wow, this guy is embracing it.
You know what it means? He's either going I was thinking before the game, it either means that Tyreek was going to have like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns plus, or Eli Apple's going to be the Super Bowl MVP.
He almost had the pick 6.
I know, he almost did at that end of the game. But,
that would have been.
But anyways, the second half, the Bengals came out, their defense made fantastic adjustments. Mm-hmm. They started dropping 8 a lot, and nobody on the Chiefs' offense was open.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It was absolutely crazy. Great stuff from Lou Anarumo and the Bengals defense. They, Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard started getting after Mahomes a little bit. Got a few sacks, got a few important sacks, made a few important plays, and it almost looked like the Chiefs kind of went on cruise control.
Yeah, and that first half they were to me it reminded me of when we were doubting the Chiefs that second half, and that first half is when they went on that 7-game winning streak and thought they were right back in it. They were right back in control. Patrick Mahomes sometimes, I think he sees the pressure, and the Bengals were providing a lot of different looks, getting pressure, getting in his face. I think sometimes he just overthinks it and tries to play hero ball, and it ended up costing him 2 interceptions. They were pretty they just turned off the juice during the second half, and it felt like Joe Burrow was in control. That 21-10, that touchdown pass was huge to Samaje Perine, and B.J. Hill got a pick.
Yeah, a thick pick. Not quite a thick 6, but
you know what?
A thick pick.
It was perfect for what they needed. Got the momentum, and even when Joe Burrow threw a pick to Jamar Chase, I think he was getting a little too greedy there. Even still, the Cincinnati defense was able to show up, make plays, and I want you to take this. Talk to us about the 13 seconds, that poetic justice.
Yeah, well, what's ironic enough is last week, the whole talk was 13 seconds. It's going to be on the Bills fans' mind for a while because, of course, Mahomes was able to drive the field in 13 seconds. But in overtime, it took him exactly 13 seconds to throw a pick.
Poor Josh Allen. It landed on tails.
I want to say he tweeted something exactly. He tweeted like just pain.
Yep, just pain.
Right when it landed on tails, which is unfortunate.
But they should all know that tails never fails.
Yeah, you you can't go heads in that situation.
No.
I don't know what they were thinking.
I love Twitter, though. Exactly when that coin flip happened, everyone was like, oh, I guess the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So is the overtime rules good? Are they bad? Like,
it levels it out a little bit. But, just for a comparison, first half, the Chiefs offense, 21 points, 292 yards, and 4 drives. Pretty solid. Second half, 83 yards, 3 points, and 7 drives.
they abandoned the run, too.
That's nuts.
They felt like they were in total control, and then they panicked.
Yeah.
I think they got up 21-3, and they expected Cincinnati, a team. They're like, all right, this team of destiny thing is over. They've fallen over. They've had their fun run. They're just happy to be here. And then they saw Cincinnati punch back, which is just Joe Burrow's team. What Joe Burrow brings. He's a fighter. He's a warrior. He dresses cool. He has cool Instagram captions. I mean, we could have a whole episode on just breaking down his Instagram captions. They're hilarious.
They're pretty good. If you do not follow him on Instagram, I highly suggest it.
He's quite the guy.
Yeah, but like you were saying, I think this game is kind of a testament to their entire season. Like, going into this season, the Bengals were projected to be one of the worst teams in the division. Everybody had questions about, whether Joe Burrow was going to be back to the level he was playing at last year. Was he going to be significantly worse because of his knee? Training, they were having training camp issues. Supposedly, it was not a very productive training camp.
Jamar Chase was
Jamar Chase
terrible
was,
preseason.
yeah, he had a pretty terrible preseason. People were wondering if Zach Taylor was the guy, if the signings they made in the offseason, Chidobe Awuzie, Trey Hendrickson, if those were going to be the necessary moves they needed to make to kind of dig themselves out of the hole they'd been in for a while. But this is one of the most successful, quickest rebuilds, in a long time.
This is still supposed to be an inferior roster. I mean, the Super Bowl matchup, which I think we could probably just save for next week, just as a preview. But
yeah,
I know a lot of people are going to say this is a huge mismatch. I think Cincinnati's got they've got all the momentum. They've got Joe Burrow. That's crazy to say after only 2 years in the NFL that he has that kind of impact where, depending on he gets hit, he'll throw a pick, and he does not change a shade. And that is so crucial for, it kind of reminds me of the demeanor of a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. It is
precisely.
It reminds me of that with just a little more just cool.
Yeah.
Like there's not like I guess swagger could be one too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think Brady and Manning dressed up like that. They were kind of more business.
Yeah, they're more business oriented.
Joe Burrow is he's so much fun.
Oh, he's awesome. He has changed the entire culture of Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
And
what a year for Cincinnati sports. Though.
Yeah, exactly.
Bearcats.
The Bengals. Maybe not the Reds, but.
What a year for Cincinnati football.
Football. But, the Bengals proved that you do not need an indoor practice facility to go to a Super Bowl.
That's right.
They are still the only team in the NFL without an indoor practice facility.
That is wild.
And if you've seen it, they have to, walk across the street. It's like, I don't even know, it's like recess or
playground recess.
Yeah, they're walking on the concrete in their cleats all geared up. It's pretty awful.
That reminds me of going back to middle school days, visiting the random public school, and then you're walking on the concrete, the little path to the locker
going to
room.
Practice.
Yes. Yeah. What a time.
But CJ Uzomah also sprained his MCL. If we're talking about culture, he is one of the biggest leaders in that locker room.
Should be back though.
But it's looking like he might be able to return for the Super Bowl, which is a good sign.
Honestly, if my leg wasn't broken in so many pieces, I would play in the Super Bowl, just to be on the field.
Yeah.
It's such a big deal. But for another team, we want to talk about San Francisco and the LA Rams. Third time is the charm for the Rams, able to get that monkey off their back. Cooper Kupp and company overcome home field disadvantage because, good Lord, there was a lot of red in that stadium. Stafford, OBJ get to their first Super Bowl. Donald Miller, all these pieces, they sold out for a Super Bowl and they got there. This is an unbelievable achievement for this team.
Oh yeah, it's great, and it's especially great to see Matthew Stafford and Odell get to their first Super Bowl. What a turnaround for Odell Beckham Jr.
Yes.
So many people, I think myself included, kind of counted him out. Kind of was like, okay, Odell's kind of washed now. When he was in Cleveland, but Odell's dad, Odell Beckham Sr., he's got to have his own sports agency or something with the work he's been able to do. He might need to take on a few more clients who are unhappy in their situation. But like I said, Odell Beckham Jr. has proven to be a difference maker in in the few games he's played for the Rams and is absolutely huge. Him, Cooper Kupp, who had a great game, and Matthew Stafford are kind of that offense now. You know, it'd be interesting to see what if Robert Woods was still healthy, what he would do for this offense as well.
It'll be interesting to see how their offense, their dynamic, they could run it back and just have an absolute just unbelievable receiving core. But you could also see Odell Beckham getting the Super Bowl, being thankful for what the Rams give him, but going and chasing another big contract with another team, trying to be a true wide receiver one. Because I think it's Cooper Kupp, Odell, it's the perfect storm, though, because you had Stafford, who's been able to rely on him in big situations. Cooper Kupp's more of that third down guy, can make any catch. Beckham can make any big play. They can give the ball to Akers or Michelle. They really have the perfect storm and the perfect quarterback. Wonder how Jared Goff feels about this.
You know, I think he's probably content. He's making a solid amount of money, and he has been in a Super Bowl. So
It's true.
maybe he'll take Detroit back to the Super Bowl. You never know. I saw something, I can't remember where it was, but it was like, I can't remember where it was. But Eminem performing at the halftime show and Matthew Stafford being in the Super Bowl is the closest Detroit will like ever get to a Super Bowl.
Oh, that's great.
Which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's kind of hilarious. But more on how this game actually played out. Both teams were very, very good at defending the run. Aaron Donald was honestly kind of a non-factor.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan game planned enough to where he was able to avoid Aaron Donald for the majority of the game. Deebo Samuel, if you did not see, he was pretty emotional after the game.
Put his heart out. He's a monster.
He led the team in rushing and receiving this game.
He is truly one of those, like, I can't even figure out a player to compare him to.
He's a unicorn.
Like he's super gremlin is what he is.
Oh yeah, that's unfortunate. We don't get to hear it anymore.
Yeah, it's fine. Just playing the radio, I guess.
Yeah.
But the big thing that happened that could have potentially it's a very big what if is that interception dropped by Tart in the. It's one of those Stafford throws where he just kind of chucks it and just tries to see if his arm strength can bail him out, and it ended up being that. Looked like a clear interception. The announcers thought so too. I think Aikman or Buck sometimes can't tell them apart. They were
Joe Buck was like, "That's an interception." Oh no, it's not.
Oh no.
And yeah, you feel kind of bad for Jaquiski Tart in that situation. But there were a few other plays where like Jalen Ramsey could have had a few picks, and there were a few other plays where that could have changed the outcome of the game as well. But of course, when you're the losing team in that situation, that's going to be the play that everybody's looking towards to like. That's where the game kind of changed. That's where it kind of flipped on its head.
Both teams had to really earn their points. This was a hard-hitting, physical game. These teams don't like each other. They've played them enough. They've seen them enough. So not the same old tricks can't really work. You got to really dive deep into the film and figure out what might work this time or what tendencies have I seen these last two matchups. And in the end, it came down to one play with Garoppolo, not able to get it done. His future is very uncertain with San Francisco. I think the belief is that they'll trade him away.
Yeah, I think I saw something today where they're basically looking for trade packages.
Okay, good. I think they can get a lot of value out of them, though. Taking them to the NFC Championship, they beat the Cowboys, they beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. Garoppolo may not be the best quarterback, but he could be a great bridge guy for a potential football team like the Washington football team or the Commanders potentially.
Yeah. We'll find out that name, I guess, tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We're filming this on a Tuesday, as always. But
Wednesday at 9. We might get a new name.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, like you were saying, Jimmy G kind of wasn't able to create the last couple of drives.
Yeah.
Before the game ended. They were really kind of relying on him to march him down the field, and he really couldn't do it. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but it's looking like his last play ever as a San Francisco 49er is going to be an interception.
What an up and down career, though, too. He was like, he's taking him to Super Bowl, one throw away from probably changing the trajectory of his career to Emmanuel Sanders. He hits that throw and they beat the Chiefs. Not only is Mahomes' career right now, it probably is a much harsher perspective on that AFC Championship loss, but Garoppolo, they might not even drafted Trey Lance. They say, hey, we got our Super Bowl quarterback. Let's just run it back.
Potentially. Yeah, it'll be. I'm intrigued to see what the San Francisco offense looks like next year, presumably with Trey Lance being the quarterback, because I think if he is what they drafted him to be, a dual threat guy that can run, that can do a whole lot more, that can kind of open up the offense a little bit more than Jimmy G. if he is what they say or what they drafted him to be, that can be one of the best, most fascinating offenses in the NFL.
It'll be very, very fun to watch. Interesting. He's had flashes, but I think he just needs a bunch of reps. He just needs time more than anything. In an offseason where he is for sure the guy, that'll be perfect for him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. One last thing I wanted to ask. Do you think Stafford's Hall of Fame?
Get him a Super Bowl for sure, and I think that his numbers will certainly he will have the numbers of a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's just the playoff Super Bowl thing will probably solidify that.
Yeah. Would you say he is one right now?
I think he would be a Hall of Famer that would he's not first ballot, but he would get in after a certain amount of time.
I agree as well. If he's currently 12th all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns.
He has plenty of time left in the NFL.
Yeah,
That'll only go up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And being on a team like the Rams, he could, if he gets a Super Bowl in the next couple of weeks, I think you could lock him up as Hall of Fame.
Pretty much.
I mean, going to Detroit, I think you should get a jacket anyways for having to deal with that for so long. But
that's a good one. Yeah, you might have to agree with that one, especially when you're playing that long in Detroit.
Yeah.
But from one Hall of Famer to the next, I guess I'll let you talk a little bit more about this since you are wearing the hat.
I'll take it away from here. This was not a shock because, and obviously, you see it on the screen. Thank you, Tom. It's all the same graphic that I was able to put together. Not really, but so the Schefter controversy is the big thing. I think it's more of a big deal when people are going to make it. The whole media, not letting him go out on his own terms and just it was, to me, it felt like I need to be the first one to break this because it's obviously a huge deal to be the reporter that broke the retirement. But obviously today, he was able to do it on his Instagram, able to kind of just let and it didn't feel any less special because it came from him. And I'm going to let any Patriots fans know right now, it is not a big deal that he did not include them on this Instagram post because if you look in the picture, he did plenty for us. I don't think an Instagram post is going to be the end-all be-all.
6 rings.
But you got any favorite moments from Brady in his career? Because I got tons. Him retiring does not count.
I mean, that might have to be one of them. But, there's so much to say about Tom Brady. Everybody has said it at this point. He is the greatest, undisputably, pretty much, the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't think we will ever see another Tom Brady in the NFL. He finishes with, just hold on a second here, 84,530 passing yards, 624 passing touchdowns. That's absurd. And that's just his stats. You can go on about all his accomplishments and all that. I remember specifically when he was playing the Falcons in the Super Bowl. I'm from Atlanta, so I was cheering for the Falcons to get a Super Bowl, and I will never forget we were at a family friend's house who were Patriots fans.
Really?
And we were watching the first half, and my mom was like, "Man, I feel so bad for the Patriots and Tom Brady. They're down by so much. It's kind of bad, and I just feel so bad for him." And me and my dad are sitting there what are you saying? This is not over. And we leave, and as soon as we leave, they start coming back, eventually come back and win. And those Patriots fans were like, "You're never watching another Patriots Super Bowl at our house ever again."
Yeah, the jinx.
Yeah, but that was the all-time Brady moment that I can remember, at least.
One of my favorites. So I got into football a little late. So I got into football around 4th grade. Well, I was 10 years old. I was much more content as a kid just watching cartoons all day than getting into football. Once I started to get in though, so I was 10 years old and my dad was watching, and we came home from I remember this so well because this was the first game that I really paid attention to. I'd watch football in the background. My dad was there. There'd be Super Bowls on and stuff. I was the kid that wanted to watch the commercials. Yeah. And we come home and we're watching it's Monday Night Football, New England versus Houston, and the Patriots are torching Houston. So I'm okay, being the kid, they're okay, I'll root for New England. And my dad tells me that he was from Boston. He grew up there for a while. So I just start my football life pretty much starts with Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And it's so weird to think about as how those certain moments, if I had not gone out that night, if I had not done this, would I be doing this right now? The ultimate thing that I take away from Brady is that the more research I did, the more about the underdog story, 6th-round draft pick, looks like a skinny twerp, runs a super slow combine time. It pretty much is anybody with enough hard work and that work ethic that just says, I don't care how talented you are, I will outwork you in any possible situation, that you can be as great as him. It is just such a great story for anybody to take, and that kind of like lesson, I guess, you can put on anybody.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I can't really elaborate too much on that. But yeah, Brady has had a very, very special career. I was looking through it. I can't remember. I guess it was ESPN they posted a little video of like him through the years. He's gotten so much more better looking throughout the years. Like, in all honesty,
It's true. It's that TB12 method.
Yeah, like
I need to get on that.
Pretty fair to say he is a good-looking man, objectively.
But it's an objective show.
And it's so interesting to think about. Like, he's retiring when he is still playing very, very elite football.
Yes. Like,
he could probably play 2, 3. It's the LeBron clip where it's like, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. He could keep playing until the end of time, probably.
That what if, though, is so powerful to his legacy, is that he left at a perfect time. Roethlisberger's not going to get that kind of conversation. I don't think Peyton Manning was going to get that kind of conversation. He was going out at the right time. And being able to, as meticulously as he prepares in his career, being able to plan out and go out on your own terms and not have to say an injury takes me out or a bad team. His last play was leading a team back from a 27-3 deficit. So he even played defense.
Poetic.
Very poetic.
Speaking of Roethlisberger, you kind of feel bad for him. He didn't even get a week.
Yeah.
For everybody to talk about his retirement.
Yeah.
Maybe he should go back out of retirement, sign for the Bucs, lead them to a Super Bowl, then retire just to
as Ben Roethlisberger would do.
Just exactly. Just to spite Tom Brady. But
what a class though for potentially, because it could be Gronk, because I feel like Gronk will retire.
Gronk's
wherever Brady goes, Gronk will go. So
Yeah.
Gronk will go off and retire. Ben Roethlisberger's retired. Brady's retired.
Aaron Rodgers
Could retire.
Potentially.
That would be a heck of a 2027 class.
Potentially.
Just put Brady in the Hall of Fame now. Like, what's the wait?
Yeah. If they just announce tomorrow, they're handing him a gold jacket.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a career from Tom Brady. Everything has been said about him that can be said. We don't really have much more to add, I don't think, at this point.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you,
Tom.
Thank you. So, a little bit more NFL news. We have a few coaching hires that happened this past week. Probably to start, the man on the screen, Brian Daboll.
Now it's super controversial, but we'll probably leave that one for later.
Yeah. We'll some
that
news came out about Brian Flores, but we won't touch on it too much right now. Don't want to be too controversial.
We'll wait till the more of the story is.
Yeah, but the Giants were basically like, all right, the Bills are a successful team. Let's go out and hire everybody we can from the Bills organization.
I love it. As a Patriots fan, I'm like, please take all the staff away.
McDermott is hurting a little bit right now.
He'll be fine. He's a fantastic coach.
But yeah, they hired Brian Daboll as their new head coach, the former Bills offensive coordinator. They hired Joe Schoen as their new GM. And Joe Schoen, speaking of, he said in his press conference that he is going to put the necessary assets into Daniel Jones. Now, for how long? We're not sure. I'm thinking, you probably give him a year. I think, and depending on how he plays, you might try and ship him off after that, get a new quarterback after that, especially when this QB draft class is not spectacular.
Yeah, it might be good to hold off for a year and for both of them, it's just year one. So it's not like they'll be on the hot seat after a potentially 6-10, 6-11 year. Yeah, Daniel Jones also could potentially, in the right guidance, be a great quarterback. Mm-hmm. We'll just have to see.
Well, there's going to be those obvious comparisons to what Daboll did with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to do it with Daniel Jones? Now, Josh Allen is, I think, significantly more talented than Daniel Jones, so I don't think it's going to be quite at those levels. But maybe he fixes the turnover issue, or gets him a little more involved in the run game, because Daniel Jones is a fantastic runner.
He's an athlete for sure. So there's definitely that dynamic that he has. It's not like he's completely helpless. He just needs to cut off turnovers, and if he gets a little more accurate with his throws, makes better decisions. The Giants don't need a Josh Allen type, because they got a fantastic defense. They got a lot of key pieces. Kenny Galladay eventually
paid $72 million. Maybe get him a little more involved in the offense, as you would think. paying a wide receiver $72 million. But I like this hire.
Yeah.
I don't have much of an issue with it.
You know, one hire that I think we're going to touch on these kind of like 1-2 before we get to our Lane Kiffin update of the week. The Bears hired Matt Eberflus? That's a fun word.
Eberflus.
That's a fun word.
Eberflus. It is a fun last name.
It is a fun last name. So this one is, you kind of have to sit with it and do your research, because the first, you're like, who? You kind of have that like doubt for a little bit. But they turned the Colts defense into like Darius Leonard.
A fantastic defense.
Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith. There's plenty of play. You have Eddie Jackson as a safety. There's plenty of playmakers for Chicago. And I think you want to elaborate on this with Justin Fields. I think there's a benefit to having a defensive guy in the staff being able to say, hey, this is what I see and what you should look out for.
Yeah, I mean, my first impression was, at least when they hired Eberflus, was, why aren't they getting an offensive-minded coach for Justin Fields? Because that seems to be the direction the league is going. But Fields said in an interview, he said it himself, that he's going to appreciate having a defensive-minded coach because it helps him see things from a defensive point of view that he does not normally see.
Yeah, it's better. Sometimes it's better not to have someone talking like. It's nice to hear something from a different perspective. Maybe it's a certain movie, you just like, oh, I haven't looked at it that way, or I haven't looked at that issue that way. Mm-hmm. Nice to have like different perspectives, and especially at a position where he'll be able to oversee everything. I like that he's not going to call defensive plays, and he wants to take more of the actual head coaching role. Yeah. And really survey and see what's going on. I like this hire for Chicago.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Chicago, funny little tidbit, they fired Matt and Ryan and replaced them with a Matt and a Ryan.
Consistency.
So maybe they should, trade for Matt Ryan to just complete the entire set. One last coaching hire. Raiders hired Josh McDaniels from the Patriots organization, the former Patriots offensive coordinator. The Bill Belichick coaching tree has not fared the best in the NFL when they've gone off to be
definitely not
head coaches on their own. But maybe Josh McDaniels turns it around.
I think Josh McDaniels will have a lot to work with. Derek Carr, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, but it's definitely more than that. And we've seen how Josh McDaniels' first head coaching thing went around with good old Tim Tebow. But I think he's had a lot of growth in this last decade. He certainly learned a lot. The way he was able to develop Mac Jones in the first year, something that a lot of Patriots fans are going to hopefully appreciate in the coming years, is that having that nice foundation. Now, I think that the Raiders, I hope that Bisaccia is still on the staff.
I know. I thought he should have stayed.
It feels such
as the head coach.
Yeah.
Especially what he did with this roster. But I think he's getting interviewed for a few other positions.
That's good.
I'm not quite sure where. But on to college football news. We've got a little bit before we wrap up. Lane Kiffin update. So, if you had not been paying attention.
Hold on, I'll do my Brian Kelly impersonation.
Yeah. If you did not see, Brian Kelly came out with another video of him dancing with a recruit, and Lane Kiffin promptly called him out for grinding on the recruit, which a lot of people are hating on him on Twitter for and saying he's jealous that he doesn't have the LSU job. But I appreciate that he's looking out for Brian Kelly and making sure he doesn't catch a case or do anything illegal.
That's right. We don't need a repeat of Penn State. So
exactly.
We do not.
He also dropped a photo of his face photoshopped on Joe Exotic, calling himself, proclaiming himself the transfer portal king.
Well, that was very much a too soon of a thing for Caleb Williams decided to make his announcement.
But fair enough. He does have the top transfer class. You got Jackson Dart and Michael Trigg from USC. He got Zach Evans from TCU and JJ Pegues, from Auburn. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Which, if you remember, 2 years ago, he was doing a lot for that Auburn offense as a D tackle, and he was pretty exciting to see. But that's pretty much the Lane Kiffin update.
Lane Kiffin update. We're gonna try to do that every week, just because Lane Kiffin's such a guy. He's such a personality that you just have to appreciate him in his time. He is like Batman. He strikes when you least expect it. Yeah. And sometimes you may not like his methods, but he gets it done. Mm-hmm.
He is slowly turning into my favorite coach in college football.
You had to exclude Dabo from that, but he is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I wasn't always the biggest fan of Dabo Swinney.
Interesting. We'll talk about this another time. I don't want to.
But you did mention Caleb Williams officially transferred to USC. Doesn't really feel like news at this point because it felt inevitable.
Yeah.
It kind of seemed like he had already transferred. It would have been funny to see if he just didn't transfer to USC and then
Wisconsin.
Yeah, if he had gone to Wisconsin and USC had gotten rid of basically all their quarterbacks. Keaton Slovis went to Pitt. Jackson Dart goes to Ole Miss, and it would have been funny to see. But Lincoln Riley gets his guy. I kind of wish he had stayed with Brett Venables, but unfortunately that wasn't the case.
Yeah, but you know what? It'll be a fun little duo. They get to kind of year 2 in a different situation. USC is going to be must-watch television next year.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's going to do it this week for the episode of The Cover 2. We again thank you as always for tuning in, for whether that's on Spotify, whether that's on YouTube. Leave a comment if you want to see any other type of content. Leave a like, subscribe, follow us, rate us on Spotify, all that. Thanks to Zach in the back, as always, for producing. Thank you to Tigervision. Grayson, any last thoughts?
Just what a week of content. Can't wait for next week's show. We're going to surely cover a lot of certain things. Lane Kiffin will be updated as well. So guys, as always, stay safe, take care, and have a great week.
Have a good one.